Hey everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hey Erica. You early girl. People gonna be shocked. Erica, my fly family is in the chat already.
We were just talking about her.
We were. And wasn't saying nothing nice about you either. I promise you I wasn't. Hey Whiteside. Happy Wednesday. Yes. So I'm gonna let y'all start trinkling. Hey Team Blacksmith. How you doing? I got my slide back today. Hey Siege. How you doing, sis? Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing? Y'all see I got my sis Stay Frosty on the panel. We're gonna be answering some questions for y'all and hanging out. Hey, big dog Reg. I thought you was gonna be working tonight. Thank you for pulling up. I appreciate you, fam. Look, y'all coming in. I appreciate it. I have put the link to her Instagram. I pinned it at the top of the chat. So if y'all want to, make sure y'all following, see what she's doing over there. Team Blacksmith said, "Hey, Frosty."
Howdy, howdy.
Erica beat you, Big Dog Reg. She was the first one in here. I think you running late. You working, but listen, I appreciate you, Siege. I appreciate you, sis. And I know you probably have some questions. You drop them in the chat if I don't answer a question that you might have. But I have a lot of questions for her today. So, hey, fam, what's up? Happy Wednesday, fam. Is I don't know. So you're not on the YouTube side, but these people are also some of these people are on Instagram.
Okay.
2A in LA is who I refer to as fam because he said all the time in his videos and stuff. So everybody calls him fam or fam.
Okay. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Yes, but they are trickling in. I appreciate y'all. And if y'all want to share it out, that would be appreciated as well. That would be great. We're gonna be talking about some we're gonna answer some questions of how New York does things for the 2A community. Because we know it's different. And it's different. Everybody is different. Because listen, I don't even try to act like I know what other states is doing. I barely know what my state doing. So I don't even want to act like it. I appreciate y'all. Yes. So I'm gonna let you start. Thanks, fam. Don't start showing out already. um he put $10 in the super chat, said love and support. I appreciate. Um, I'm gonna let you start by introducing yourself, letting the audience know who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Ooh. Well, thank you,
And I'm,
Gina, for
I'm, gonna,
having
I'm gonna
me.
give
Thank
you
you.
the screen.
Thank you. So let's see where we start. Foster, as in foster care. That's what I go by. That is my name. Um, so I just happen to be a licensed social worker who happens to be a firearms educator, instructor. I'm from New York, live in New York, and yes, I love New York, minus the gun laws, but I love New York. Um, so let's talk about Stay Frosty Defensive Tactics, which is the name of the business. We've been established since, sometimes I'm a little ashamed to say, because we're new in the business, right? But I've been around for a while as far as being in the people business, the people business. But I've been in business since 2021. 2021. And that's when my interest in firearms actually peaked during 2021. Um, I am, as I mentioned, a licensed social worker, so I provide psychotherapy, both on the range and off the range. Um, yeah, that's pretty much a little bit about myself.
I love it. I learned something new because I didn't know you were a social worker.
Yeah,
I did not know that. And there's a message in the chat for you from Whiteside
thank
Tactical.
you. Thank you.
And
Thank you,
we love
Whiteside.
you. Yes. And we love the way they provide. They've been actually being having more presence on the hey bougie on the YouTube side, discussing all types of topics. But I would love, I know one day it's gonna happen to do their
Yeah.
stop class. I have done one here, but it was nothing like what I see them doing.
Mm,
Theirs is just way a little more hands on.
okay.
Yeah. So I love it. And they do show up at a lot of 2A events providing Stop the Bleed classes. Hey Jova, happy Wednesday. So I'm just gonna jump into some questions.
Yeah, that's
And the
what we do.
first question I'm gonna ask is how long have you been a firearms instructor?
So since 2021, since
Mm-hmm.
2021, I've been a firearms instructor. That's actually when I first started. Again, my interest got piqued, and
Mm-hmm.
how my interest got piqued. I don't. You're familiar with Shot Show.
Yes.
So here's the thing: Shot Show is really an invite kind of only thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm one of those people. If you tell me I can't, I'm gonna show you that I can, and I will. So I found out that I had to create a business around firearms. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I did. I created a business, the website, the name, everything. And that was in September. My first
Mm-hmm.
class was, let me rewind a little bit. Shout out to Diasporan Firearms Club. 'Cause that's where I first started.
Okay.
That is a firearms club in downstate New York. And
Okay.
that's my route. That's where I started. Um, so September 2021, created a business. October, my first huge class. October,
Wow.
I got Courtney Redmond. Shout out to him. He is in Chicago. He came up, flew in, helped me out. I had Max, I had Mr. Kep, I had so many people. Mr. Brown, I had that helped me with that class. It was a very successful class. And ever since then, I was able to I got my invite at SHOT Show. And they say there's this quote, you tell God, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Because
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted an invite to SHOT Show.
Mm-hmm.
And that turned into something much greater than myself, you
Yes.
know? So
Yeah.
that's really why I started. That's really why I got started, was just to get an invite to see what SHOT Show is about, which is just a huge trade show when it comes to firearms. It's a
Mm-hmm.
really, you're going to be there. You're going to get there.
I know. I almost went this year, but I
Okay.
didn't. I almost did though. But I know you went in 24. Did you go this year?
I didn't go. I didn't go
Okay.
this year. No, I did not.
Hmm.
You kind of get
Yeah.
shot showed out after a while. You got to show up with a plan. You got to show up with a plan. You're just not going in just to go in and look at firearms. You have to.
Yeah.
You're networking, you're marketing, you're doing everything. You got to go with a plan because there's
Yeah.
so much ground to cover.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've heard about it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll get there.
Indeed, indeed.
Indeed. So you said you're a social worker, so I'm
Yes.
assuming that's what draws your that being your kind of target demo for training. Is that what kind of fostered that?
Fostered. Yes, that's a nice. Yes. So social workers, when you look at social work, it's all about empowering individuals, right?
Mhm.
And the same thing
Mhm.
with firearms, right? We say we are
Yeah.
our own first responder. It's about empowering other people. And
Mhm.
so most people, when I say that I am a firearms educator, instructor, but I'm also a therapist, they look at me like it's the same thing. It's
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
empowerment at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah, that is true. So would you say that but even though that's you kind of prefer working with the youth,
Mhm.
you still also train outside of that, right?
I like that question because before we came on, you made a statement that you were
Mhm.
doing YouTube for a long time and you do
Mhm.
everything, right? You don't want
Mhm.
to be boxed in,
Correct.
right? And so
Correct.
being a woman, a black woman, one of the things people tend to say, and it's like I service all.
Mhm.
When I say all, black woman, the youth is definitely my core population, because
Mm-hmm.
we can get into that part, but definitely everyone. I don't want to be boxed in to say I'm a woman instructor for women. I'm for everyone. And a
Mm-hmm.
majority of my clientels are male,
Not surprising because it's a heavily male populated space.
but we outnumber them. And I don't understand where the females at. Like,
That, I'm with you. I'm with you, sis. But we're gonna bring them in. We're gonna bring them in. I know, and this is what I try to tell people. For me, it was it wasn't initially something that I was comfortable with myself. It was something that I gradually got there, probably in my late 30s to early 40s. So where I didn't have these ideas in my head anymore when it came to firearms, because I think that's what kind of stops us from getting involved with it and just taking some training and understanding the safety around it and being safe with it and things like that, and just knowing that, like you said, it's going to empower you to know that if something was to happen, that you feel comfortable enough to protect those that you love. So I try to tell people that, like, I wasn't always there, but something just switched in me where I was like, well, it's really this world. I don't want to be in a situation where everyone else around me is knowledgeable about it, but I'm not, because I'm afraid of what I haven't even ventured into. I'm just afraid of what I have in my head about it. So
yeah.
yeah.
Just to piggyback off of you, you mentioned your late 30s, early like 40s, as far as when you got familiar. So most recently, I sent out like a little quick survey to find that out. When was the first time you were exposed to firearm safety? And
Hmm.
sadly, that is the age. You know,
Yeah.
and in our community, in the Black community
Hmm.
mostly, that is the age that people get introduced. If not at a younger age, but it's not supervised. It's in a whether
Hmm.
gang related or something that's not very positive. And
Hmm.
so, and that's one of the reasons why my audience is our youth.
That's very good. That is very good. Introduce them early
Early.
so they understand the safety and all that, so that they don't make mistakes that their peers are out there making because they don't have that direction.
Correct.
That's a good
Correct.
thing.
Correct.
That is good. So my next question is going to be in regards to being a New Yorker.
Ooh.
So, when it comes to firearm ownership, what are some of the obstacles and barriers that you face in trying to become a firearms owner?
So I'm gonna say this. How much time we have? no, no,
We got
but
time.
no, but seriously. So I want to say this for my New Yorkers, my fellow New Yorkers and non-residents. It's easier than you think. It really is easier. However, there are a lot of, if you don't know, then it's gonna appear very challenging, right? So let me
Mhm,
start out. We don't have insurance on firearms. That's the first thing. I think at one point they were saying it was called murder insurance. And so we
mhm,
don't necessarily have insurance. Like, I'm a USCCA certified firearms instructor, but I
mhm,
can't have their insurance.
mhm.
So that's one thing. They do not service New York. Um,
Okay.
so that's one thing that is a barrier. That's like car
Mhm.
insurance. You're driving around, you want to make sure that you're protected, right? In a
Right.
sense. Um,
Yes.
Besides that, the money, the fees, as far as actually purchasing your permit, that is
Mhm.
it's astronomical. It's a lot,
Yeah.
especially for people that just don't have it, and it's too
Mhm.
much.
Mhm.
Uh, you have sensitive locations. One of the things that, if you become a firearms owner, especially concealed carrier, it's best for you to plan out your day and where you are going to go or where you cannot go. I'm a Nassau resident, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I cannot go to, say, New York City, which is only like 15 minutes away from me, right? Then there's Suffolk, which is another county, which is all New York. So you're
Mhm.
stuck in this little box. That's some of that's a barrier as well.
That is, yeah.
The thing about it as well, it's no black and white. If you ask a police officer X, Y, and Z, whether it's something about permit or whatever, for instance, I travel with my firearm. I fly with my firearm, right?
Mhm.
And so police officers that's in the actual airport, they really don't know the law behind that, right? So
Mhm.
I was traveling to Georgia, I think it was, but I have a Utah uh, concealed carry, which covers
Mhm.
several states, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so when the TSA police officer, whomever came and was checking my firearms, etc., my identification, he was like, "Where are you going again? Didn't you say you was going to Georgia? But this is Utah." I'm like, "Yes, but it covers the different states."
Mhm.
So it's really
Mhm.
important if you become a firearms instructor, and I mean, not even instructor, just a responsible firearms owner, you have to know the law. You cannot depend on law enforcement or anyone else to know the law. You have to know it for yourself because it's
Mhm.
not black and white. So that's another thing that's challenging in New York. It's not black and white. The application
Mhm.
process is not meant for you to, it's not black and white. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Me being a non-resident of Utah, I got my permit in what, maybe 90 days because they have a time frame. New York,
Mhm.
there's a long wait. And it's supposed to be, I
Wow.
believe, 6 months, but they do not adhere to that, right? So the wait could be
Mhm.
from anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, you know.
Wow.
So there's a lot of barriers, but it can be done. It's not impossible. I just want people to
Mhm.
know that as a New Yorker, you can get a permit. You just gotta have the money and the time
Yeah.
and know the law.
That's probably the hardest part. Is yeah, is knowing that. Yeah, especially if it's not black and white.
No,
Just
yeah.
so everyone understands this is what it is. These are
Mhm.
this is what you have to do. Make it clear. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's so it is required for New Yorkers to have a CCW.
Well, so we don't open carry, right? In New York.
Mm-hmm.
So the CCW is only if you're going to be concealed carrying, but
Mm-hmm.
you do not need one if you're leaving it at home. I don't know, see the purpose of it being at home, but you don't need one for it to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
But you do need one to travel. So here's the thing. So NYPD, maybe I'm gonna say, don't quote me on this one. It could be last year sometime. For some reason, they decide that non-residents can now have permits, which is a beautiful thing, which means now I can have a permit for New York. So New
Mm-hmm.
York City, which is the boroughs, covers
Mm-hmm.
the entire New York, upstate,
Mm-hmm.
downstate, Nassau, everywhere, which is so it's like the gold standard, the New York permit. Yeah.
Okay. Now you have that permit,
I do not have that permit. I am in the
but you
process.
can.
Hmm.
But you can. Okay. Nice. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm looking down because I have my questions down here.
That's no problem. I'm just going to take a sip of my.
Um, you're fine.
Thank you.
Um, so my next question is, do you think that it's important for a firearms owner to take some type of training?
So yes, it's yes, absolutely, unequivocally, yes. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not a training, it's ongoing training, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consistent training. But the first training that people need, and I say this, and I'm gonna use the word training, is
Mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence. People need
Mm-hmm.
to know themselves. I've met people that say that's not for me because I'll bust a cap and I appreciate that. You don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
don't have any emotional intelligence. But it's really important that individuals know their trigger. And this is the social work side of me. Know your triggers. Know what frustrates you. Know what angers you.
Mm-hmm.
Know all these things before you decide that you want to carry, conceal, or even own a firearm because it's not going to be pretty. So yes, that's the first thing. You have to know yourself. And if it's
Mm-hmm.
not for you, you know what? You got pepper spray. You got tasers. You got other things that you could
Yeah.
use, even though, but that's another
Yeah.
story. But yes, definitely. That's the first thing. Universal firearms, uh, safety, the actual rules, those are the things that you teach kids maybe from age 5 and up. We say keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. We say treat all firearms as if they're loaded. That's the first one. If you
Mm-hmm.
adhere to that one, nothing else matter. You treat all
Mm-hmm.
firearms as if they're loaded. That's
Mhm.
somewhat like a training. You have to know those things. You know, you don't muzzle yourself. You don't point your firearms at something that you're not willing to destroy. They say, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's important that people know that,
Mhm.
whether they go seek ongoing training or not. But if they adhere to
Mhm.
those type of rules and rules, they'll be okay. Um, One of the things that they should, and I recommend, and I encourage that all firearms owner, or in fact, you don't need to be a firearms owner. CPR first aid. We just talked about Whiteside. Um, that's important because
It
if you're
is.
gonna being a firearms owner, it's about self-preservation, but it's also about preserving life in general.
Mhm.
So we're not here to take life. We're here to preserve life. So in the
Mhm.
event that something happens to you or your loved one, you have to be able to manage until you want to say the professionals come and take
Mhm.
over. So CPR first aid definitely is a must. That should
Mhm.
be stop the bleed, as you mentioned. That should
Yeah.
be in your arsenal of trainings. And the other thing, it changes. So just because you took it once, you gotta keep up with your trainings. Because
Mhm.
before you used to blow and do compressions,
Yeah.
now you can just do compressions, you know?
Yeah.
So we need to keep up with those things. It's extremely important. So yes,
Yeah.
training is ongoing. It's necessary. Dry
Yeah.
firing, I'm guilty. I have my cert.
Mhm.
Dry
Oh, you can.
firing,
Yeah.
dry firing. Oh, you can't?
Mhm.
Can't?
Mm-mm.
Ooh,
Mm-mm.
ooh, take
You
that.
can't show.
Edit that, edit that. Sorry, too. That was me, not her. Okay. And it's not real. It's a training pistol.
Mhm. Mhm. But
Okay.
it's AI that watch that.
Catches it. Okay.
Yeah.
My
So.
apologies.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the point is, dry firing is important. You know, in the
Mhm.
house or
Mhm.
wherever,
Mhm.
which I'm
Mhm.
guilty of. You know. So yes, ongoing training is a must. Certainly.
Mhm.
Certainly.
Yeah. I definitely agree with the first aid and CPR. Even if you don't own a firearm, I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And what got me started in that training was my job, because I'm one of the people in my office who's certified in case something happens with
Mm.
one of the employees, and we have to administer CPR or whatever. But I remember when I first started taking the training, just mentioning why you should keep your training
Current.
um, current.
Current.
Yeah, things change. So when I first started taking it, they would have, the little dummies that you would do the procedure on. You could do that on a desktop, on the tabletop,
Mm-hmm.
put it up there and just do your compressions and whatnot. Well, my last certification, they didn't allow that anymore, because they needed, because people would be trained, but they really physically couldn't administer it, because it
Mm-hmm.
usually
The
the
knees.
person that needs it is not on a table
Mm-hmm.
at your, above, waist length. They're on on the ground, so you need to be
Correct.
able to get on the ground and really realistically feel the exertion of administering CPR, and it's exerting. So
Exhausting.
it is exhausting, especially if you're the only person. If you don't have a person
Nobody
there
to take
to,
over.
yeah, to trade off on, it's a lot. So it's a decision to make to even go into it, because you can't stop once you start until someone comes to help. So
Correct.
it's just it's a lot involved in it, but I definitely think that's important. And then the next step, because Stop the Bleed doesn't come with that, that's an extra step in taking some training. And I think that is very important. So, Whiteside Tactical, they're in the chat. Actually, I haven't seen anybody do it the way they do it. I
Yeah.
really haven't. And it's so realistic. It's going to give you that realistic feel of someone actually bleeding, and you have to, with your gloved hand sliding and all that.
Pack it.
I think that's important. That's important, because you're being feeling it more realistically is going to help you um, to really be able to perform when a situation happens.
Correct. Correct. Definitely.
So I think that
Definitely.
is very important to have some kind of training. So definitely look into that.
Definitely.
And honestly, I did look into this last year. Some states, and within their states, the counties and
Required, right?
townships and stuff, well, no, they actually provide it free. There's townships here
Yeah.
that have the course. You just have to kind of go into the community stuff for the township. on the website, and
Mm.
they actually provide some of these, courses, this training for free. The fire department comes in and they provide it for free. So CPR and first aid usually is one of those two. Those are the two I've seen. But definitely look into it. And the ones that don't provide it for free, it's usually not that
How
expensive
much? Yeah.
either
Yeah.
to get a certification and get some
Definitely.
training there. So definitely look into that, guys.
Yeah.
Um, I was going to ask you, um, kind of piggybacking off of the training when I had a question in my head
Hmm.
about, and now I lost it. It was one that I didn't have written down that came to me while we were we were talking, but it'll come back. Um, my next question is going to be any advice or suggestions you would give to a woman that's on the fence about becoming a firearms owner.
Yes, definitely. The first thing is, I would say this. I always like to shout out before I say something. So shout out to
Mhm,
all NYPD, CIA, all law enforcement, everyone. Obviously, that work is takes a special person.
mhm,
Um, so definitely shout out to all of them. The point is there's not enough of them at the end of the
yeah.
day. There's not. And I'm just going to take New York City. And I always talk about New York City because it's heavily populated. I want to
Mhm,
say from the last time I checked, it's about 8.5 million people. And that's New York
mhm,
City. We talk about the boroughs. We're not
mhm,
talking about the other parts of New York, right? And as far as officers or law enforcement, I want to say it's about 36,000. 36,000. So if you take that, it's just not enough.
mhm,
Mathematically, the math is not mathing, right?
mhm,
So this is why we say again, we are our own first responder. I've heard females, women say, "Oh, my husband, they own a firearm," or "My boyfriend or my girlfriend or whoever,
mhm,
are they with you 24 hours?" You
mhm,
know, you're with you 24/7 at the end of the
mhm,
day. While I could understand the apprehension, definitely, but
mhm,
what I like to say, you look at it like anything new that you're about to do, there's some type of anxiety, there's fear, right? You just don't know the unknown. And it's like that driving. I just didn't jump in my car and start driving, right? I had to learn, you know?
mhm,
I'm not, I wouldn't say I got into any accidents, but I had to learn at the end of the day.
mhm,
It wasn't
mhm.
something that was just innate in a sense.
Yeah.
So I would think that no one's coming to save you. No
Mhm,
one. You are on your own entirely at the end of the day. You know, we say I always offer other, I guess, suggestions or other tools, such as again, we have the mace, right? We
mhm,
have pepper spray, we have knives, we have
mhm,
tasers,
mhm.
but the great equalizer, I'm not trying to be funny, it is the firearm at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that everything rises to the level of you neutralizing the threat. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not saying that you have to be wise when you become a firearms owner. So
Mhm,
if you're on the fence, it's understandable, but I would say get educated. Even if you don't ever become a firearms owner, right? Become
mhm,
educated. At least know the safety rules.
mhm,
Know it, it's so empowering just to know, just to be around. I'm one person. If I know that someone is apprehensive, male, female, whomever, the first thing I tell them is come check out a session. They don't even have to pay for it.
mhm.
You know, come check it out. You just stay in the background, sign the waiver at the end of the day,
Yeah.
but come check it out. And that's what it comes down to. Come see for yourself, you know?
Mhm,
Um, I'm not saying again, people have trauma, people have been through so many things. One of the
mhm,
things I tell people in general, females, women, if you speak to, I want to say most females when it comes to firearms as to why why they decided to become an owner, it's something
mhm,
that's tragic, right? Something that's
mhm,
vile. Someone violated them, you know,
mhm.
DV survivors, something. As for myself, I don't have that story, and
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is why I train, right? Her story, your
Mhm,
story, everybody's story is good enough for me to know that I don't want to be that person, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying we call it volunteer. I don't want to say it's you're a volunteer victim. I'm going to use that. I'm going to say that someone else's tragic is good enough for me. I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
learn for myself at the
Yes.
end of the day. And that's what it comes down to.
Yes.
Knowledge, education, educate yourself about that thing, about that firearm, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah. I think that's a very good suggestion, because I think that that's where a lot of the reluctance comes from, is the lack of information
Yeah.
around it. There's a lot of stereotypes around it. There's a lot of things that we're seeing, and even before social media was putting it out so much, you would see in the news and stuff, and it just kind of it I kind of get creates this thing in your head
Yeah.
when it comes to them. So I think that's where a lot of the hesitance is in getting involved in it. And when I got involved, it was just so um, interesting to me how much safety was like really
The
talked
foundation.
about. Like it, yeah, I mean, everywhere I went, like in all the conversations, and even on this platform, like it was just, I was like, okay, like it didn't make me feel like, oh, people just want them so they can go out and shoot. That's like that's not the atmosphere of it. It's really just having a means to be able to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your home, and having the skill to do so through training. You know, because
Yes.
if you have one, and we were talking about this before we started. Having one and just having it, but never training with it, that defeats the purpose,
Yes.
because the likeliness that you're going to be effective if there is a situation pretty slim. Because first of all, you're going to be shaky. You're going to be shaky even if you're probably somebody who's
Regardless.
trained.
Yes. Yes.
So definitely train with it. And there is a muscle memory that's created through the training.
Yes.
It
Yes.
really is. There's a lot of
Yes.
facts to that.
Yes. One more thing I wanted to add to that for
Mhm,
females that are, or women that are on the fence, or women
mhm,
that decide that they want to go on this journey.
mhm.
There's no such thing as a woman's gun. No
No.
such thing. So if you want the biggest, and go for it, obviously you got to train. But for the most part, because I realize that sometimes women get boxed into, because they want you to have a small firearm. Mm-mm. When I first started, I started with a 12 gauge, because the actual seller, the person at the FFL, said to me, you know, which I didn't know. I didn't know the difference, of course. So there's a 20 and a 12, 410, or whatever the
Mhm,
case may be. I'm like, which one has the most recoil, right? Which one is the most aggressive? That's what I want,
mhm,
at the end
mhm,
of the day. So there's no such thing as a woman's gun, and I can't
mhm,
stand hearing that, even if it's
mhm.
pink.
Yeah, I agree with that. I prefer even I
Big
like
guns,
pistols, but I like big pistols, full size. Don't give me no little.
compact.
Don't want it. But yeah, I agree, and that's why I tell. That's another thing that I talk about, and I know you probably have talked about this as well. Um, don't just buy something without first trying it, like shooting it. Most ranges will let you rent them.
Buy before you try. Don't do
Mhm.
it. Don't do it. It's hard.
Yeah, because you will find that something that I like you
Hmm.
might see me talk about what I carry. I have videos that I've showed some of my firearms. Those are what I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
I
Mhm.
have actually been with other people who have shot them and don't really care for them as much.
That's
Or
important.
I've shot things that I don't care for as much as somebody ranted and raved
Raving
about.
about it.
So, or I've shot something that's supposed to be like so great because it's this, really nice, whatever. And it's like, it's okay. I mean, I like it, but it's not, mm, it didn't move mountains, but it's different. It's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah.
So definitely try it out first. If you're lucky enough to be and have someone that who has them, where you could try some of theirs. That's even better. Maybe you have an instructor who's like, oh, I could bring a couple things in for you to try. You could see how you feel about that. I remember being at a range once, and this was when I was very early on, so I was still with the instructor. And there was some people in the bay a couple down from us. It was a guy and two ladies. And whatever he had them shooting, they weren't comfortable with. I think it was a 9 of some sort. Um, and he, instead of, this is what like threw me, instead of taking them out to the store part and, renting something that he thought might be comparable for him, he's supposed to be training them.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. He just sent them out there and said, well, go out there and, tell them that, you want something else to shoot. He don't give them no direction, no get tight, like, oh, go see it. Maybe you will prefer shooting a 22. Maybe that would be, because I know for me, that's where I started. Some, a lot of instructors feel like, start there and then we'll go to a 9 and blah, blah, blah. Well, he just didn't go out there with them and give them anything. He's letting the person at the counter tell them what they think these ladies should rent to shoot. And I'm like, what? What are we doing here? Like, but it's a lot of people who go into the range that way who aren't instructors, who are just people who own a firearm, who have gone to the range themselves and shot, and now they're trying to instruct someone else, a girlfriend or whatever, on how to do it. And they're not really giving instruction. Like, I don't know. I see some things there that I'm like.
May I?
Mm-hmm.
You made a valid point just now. You said something about, and I usually see this where whether it's a husband and wife or whomever partners that think they know what they're doing because they're either they're law enforcement or something. It's better for you. It's better for intimate partners or partners in general is really challenging to teach. So it's always good to just spend the money and get an instructor. That's the first thing. Spend the money and get an instructor. And you mentioned about, you try before you buy. Definitely. Another thing about New York, here in New York, you're a felon even if you touch a pistol without a permit. Pretty much. You can't touch it. So you're not training on a pistol. That's the thing. You have to go to another state to go train on a pistol if you do not have a permit. So I always encourage people to go to, and this is not a plug, I don't get anything, Guns for Hire, which is in New Jersey. They can go there and try as many firearms. Obviously, it becomes expensive, but at least you have the opportunity to try before you buy.
Yeah, I think that's important. I didn't know that going in. I made one, actually, no, just one purchase without trying it first, and it's the one that I like the least. But I learned from that though. So from there on, I kind of had a feel for what I was getting into when I was making a purchase for something. I may not have shot the exact model, make, whatever brand of that firearm, but I shot something very similar to where I knew, what I was getting into. So I think that is important because you're going to just have buyer's remorse, and now you have it, and you don't want to do anything with it because maybe the recoil is too much, or maybe it's too heavy, because for some ladies, it could just be heavy in weight. Maybe you bought a full size and it's just a little too heavy for you. Maybe the grip isn't right because you have smaller or bigger hands. It's just so many things.
Oh, it's too small because they told you it was a woman's gun.
Oh God. That part. That part. So yeah, definitely. And this is the thing that we talked about too before we started is ladies, pick out your own firearm. Don't let somebody pick out what you're going to be using to
protect your life.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because you have to be comfortable with it.
Yes.
not the person who's how they know what you're gonna be comfortable with.
Yes. Yeah. Same lingerie.
So don't let someone pick it out for you.
Yeah.
Don't go into it like because I know sometimes we want to deflect to that. Well, you pick it for me because we don't know. Whether you get to know by trying.
Yes.
That's how you get to know. And
Yes.
don't feel like when you go in there, everybody's looking at you like you're the person who don't know what you're doing. They're not.
You know, one of the service that I offer is, I want to say personal shopper, but it's more
Mhm.
so I'm going with you, because it can
Mhm.
be like going into those spaces.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you go in there and you're saying something like, let me see that clip, when it's really magazine, they do treat
Mhm.
you different.
Mhm.
They do treat you different. You knowing the
Mhm.
terminology is extremely important. But if you go with
Mhm.
someone that knows, they can't bamboozle you, they can't sell you 10 different holsters, you know, they can't, you know, you're
True.
educated, you're knowledgeable on that. Because I've seen an actual person that works at the FFL, which is the gun store, trying to show someone how to shoot, and he's teacupping. We don't teacup, right? That's
Mhm.
not what we're doing, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, excuse me, sir, that's not the correct way. He said, what are you, instructor? Yes, that's not the correct way.
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
sometimes people fall victim to the fact that these people are in these certain positions, like they work at an FFL or a gun
Yep.
store, or they're an instructor. Not all instructors are created equal,
Correct.
in a sense. So,
Correct. Which let me remember my other question that I forgot. How would you suggest someone vets a
ooh, I, ooh. So, hmm. The first thing, don't go with your intimate partner or your partner, because it's not gonna work. That's the
Mhm.
first thing. But I think it's really important, like anything else, when you're shopping for a car, when you're shopping for a house, it could take 2 years, right? 1 year,
Mhm.
whatever. It's the same details and attention that you really have to put into this, because this is life saving, right? This is something that you're doing to protect yourself, your life, your family, whomever. So I would say again, don't assume because a person is a cop. Don't assume that a person is instructed that they actually know. Um, what's important is your goal. What exactly do you want to accomplish? Whether it's competitive shooting, right? Whether it's hunting, there's different areas. So that has to be clear as to what the goal is, right? That's one of the things that when people call me or they email me saying, "Hey, I want training, tactical training." That's the word that they use loosely, tactical training.
Mhm.
I said, you know what? We need to have a conversation on your training goals. What exactly do you want to accomplish? Because if you're
Yeah.
trying to do, that television stuff, John Wick, I'm not that person. And that's
Yeah.
and that's really important that you're clear as a firearms instructor what your expertise and where your limitations are. So I
Mhm.
think the first thing, or one of the things that people probably need to do now, I would recommend, is you need to vet at the end of the day. And of course, we can watch Instagram and all that. We always put the best parts, for the most part. So it's really important you vet. You're doing your reviews or whatever the case may be. It's real. That's it. That's important as well. You want to do reviews. People have reviews. Um, for myself, again, I welcome people in. You don't have to pay. Sit back and
Mhm.
watch me with someone else.
Mhm.
That's something that I would say, I don't know if other instructors offer that, but I would
Mhm.
say that's something that they can do. Um, it's it's something that you just have to know for yourself. Like, what are you comfortable with? You want someone that's aggressive? If you're vetting someone, because some instructors are aggressive.
Mhm.
Do you want to be in that atmosphere with someone that's aggressive? So you have to know for yourself. You're vetting, you're reviewing, you're maybe certifications, and certification, you could print those up, to be honest. You could
Mhm.
print up certifications. So I'm not saying that it's not valid, but maybe you could ask them for your certification. Does your instructor have what's important? Does your instructor, when you're vetting, do they have firearms insurance when it comes to being on the range? If something were to happen to you, it's okay for you to ask them for that. Do they have insurance?
Yeah.
So that's a part of the vetting process too, because we do have people that provide instructions and they're not certified. You know, so that's
True.
important. Um, so we say reviews, look for their reviews, vetting with, do they have the certification? Do they have And again, you could ask how many years they've been instructors, but that really don't
Mhm.
matter. And I say this
Mhm.
because I'm also a victim of that. I was a gymnast, and I
Mhm.
often give this example. My coach, I had never seen this man do one flip, but I was somersaulting back aerial. I was doing everything. He was
Mhm.
able to instruct me, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes just because you don't really see them doesn't mean that they don't know how to instruct. Some firearms instructors don't know how to actually execute shoot properly. I would say, uh, forgive me, but it's true. Some people teach better than they can actually demonstrate, in a sense,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Mhm. It
So
does.
um, if it's important for you for your firearms instructor to be keyhole in that same spot from 25 yards upside down, then go for it. But if you want someone that's going to teach safety art, and how are they safe on the range? That's the first and foremost. Are they safe? Are
Mhm.
they practicing safety? When they say, say as I do as I say, not as I do, or something like that. Do as I say, not as
Mhm.
I do. As a
That's mhm.
firearms instructor, you have to do exactly what you say.
Mhm.
If we're saying keep our fingers off the trigger, if we're saying treat all firearms as if they're loaded, you have to demonstrate that at all time. Is there consistency? Does it match up? So that's a
Mhm.
part of the vetting process. And this is why I say, come and watch me, in a
Mhm.
sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's just some of the things I would think.
Yeah. I think that's a really good perk just to be able to go and watch and see how everything flows, see how you're working with other people.
Yes.
Um, and that might bring some comfort to a person who is watching to
Yes.
not be so nervous about the whole experience.
Yes. Yes.
But
One more
yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to separate it because sometimes we don't want to be liability in that area. I like I like to inform people. I love informing people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hoard information because what good is it going to do me only, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's really important that comes along with my instructions is the law.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm teaching you something, I'm showing you the law that goes with it, And I think
Yeah.
that's important. When I just don't teach someone how to execute a shot or whatever, but I'm like, hey, if you're stopped by officer, what do you say? This is not, we're not in a state that you're not legally, you do not have to inform
Mm-hmm.
that you're carrying. But if they
Mm-hmm.
ask you, then you have to divulge that
Mm-hmm.
information. So it's really important that if you're giving them you have to be all around, well-rounded,
Mm-hmm.
being an instructor.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I can see that. I can definitely see that. Now, um, I'm trying to keep up with the chat too.
Oh, okay.
Um, Erica, I'm not dealing with you. She talking about a 10. I thought you had a question. I'm also trying to see. I hope I didn't miss any questions in the chat. If I did, if y'all could just post it again because I've been kind of looking back and forth, but I haven't seen anything as of yet, question wise. Unless I missed it, y'all. That's possible. I wasn't ignoring you. So if you want to put it back in there, if you have any questions, um, let me
Quick
see.
shout out to Erica, my fly family, because that's how we got together. So
Hmm.
definitely.
Yep, we met on a panel. Y'all could go back and watch that one.
Mhm.
It's that's been a couple years though. That
Maybe.
was I don't think it was
Oh,
last year. That was the year. I know it wasn't last year actually. It
wow,
was
time flies then.
2023.
Wow.
It was 2023. But it is still up on the channel. So y'all could go check that out over there. But that's where I met Frosty and I've been following her ever since. I was literally, that's how I know it was 2 years ago. I was literally like months into the 2A space. And so when they asked me to be on the panel, I was like,
Yeah.
what am I going to add to it? Like,
That's because
and then
it's
they were
like,
like, "But you're coming from a newbie perspective, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay." Like I just felt like I knew nothing yet, like nothing. So, but what I do know for me, and this might be for other ladies, who are interested in firearms, I wanted to follow what other ladies were doing. I think that with me, I was comfortable. going to the range and shooting, all that. But it took time for me to be comfortable with carrying.
Mm,
Um, and then but I was wondering, like, what are ladies carrying?
mm,
How are ladies carrying? All those type of things. And there's so many different options. And I've tried so many of them. And then you
mm.
spend all this money trying them and not even liking them. I have so many things that I've purchased that I was like, that it's like poking me, or it's uncomfortable, or
Yeah.
there are some. I think the most trial of it was finding um something that I was comfortable using to carry. But it did take me quite a while before I got comfortable carrying out in public. Um, and it was more so not, it was just me being insecure that people saw it,
Mm,
um, being concerned, I should say, that people were seeing it. Even though I didn't feel like I was imprinting, I felt like they
okay.
knew. They know I have it. Um, so once I got past that, I did baby steps. So like when I started doing it, I might be like, oh, I got to go to the store. So I'm gonna carry when I go out to do this errand. And it just, from there, it just kept going. And then to the point where it's now, it don't bother me at all. But I had to get there. And I think that sometimes those are things that aren't talked about so much, because I didn't hear a lot of people talking about that. But those were questions that I asked, like the
Mm,
people I was talking to, like, how did you get comfortable doing that? What are you carrying? Because I didn't buy my carry was probably my fifth gun purchase. Ain't that crazy? It was the fifth, maybe. It might have been sixth. I think it was fifth though. So that's how long it took me to even find what I wanted to carry. Because my larger ones, although I love them, they weren't comfortable to carry. They just weren't comfortable for me. So it took me a while to get there, but I had, you know, been just researching online, like what are the ladies doing? And when I started meeting people like yourself, I started following what y'all were doing. I started like paying attention to what you were doing. Like y'all would show how you do it on your well, you were doing it on your platform a lot, where you would show like I could wear
mhm.
cute, I could be girly,
Yes.
and I still carry. I don't have to wear frumpy,
Mhm.
oversized to carry.
Check this out.
So seeing that and seeing that those things are possible, because of course you think you need to go oversized, so now they can't tell I have it
Mhm.
when I'm out and about. So I'm telling you guys, if you're not following Frosty, definitely do. Because those are things that I think that any person knew, any woman knew into the space, and I'm sure the fellas do too. When they're getting into the space, want to know how the fellas are carrying, what kind of holster they're using, what kind of whatever, what kind of gun are they carrying, things like that. But I think because we are made different, um, I wanted to see what women were doing. I
Yes.
didn't want to see. I'm not a man, so I'm not carrying like a man. you know um I just wanted to see what those options look like. So I think that was really important to me, just knowing that, and finally being introduced to more ladies in the space. There is a lot of ladies in the space. They're just scattered around. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a lot, but there are more than I knew about. That's what I'll say. There was more out there than I knew about. Every day it's like people are finding my channel in that space. So not my channel, my Instagram. So I am looking at other people,
Mhm.
um and seeing what they're doing. And even in our space, I know they're not, everyone isn't created equal. um and go with your discretion. Like, don't just jump in to every person that's out there. Kind of, I'm a watcher, so I sit back and
People
watch
watch,
how
right?
people move. I watch how people move, and I usually can tell, like, if nah, that ain't. I'm good, and I just fall back from it.
That's important.
So, but trust your instinct, trust your gut. When you get that feeling, like, no, and you're not sure. Like, if you, because I'm a person sometimes where that happens, where I'm like, I haven't can't put my finger on it, but some don't feel right. I just keep watching, because
Yes,
eventually, what I'm thinking I'm seeing is going to come to light. So that, I think that comes up even with the vetting. You want to vet even with the people the stuff that you're taking in on social media, because you'll be misinformed through
yeah,
some postings that are going on there too.
yes.
So be careful with that. But I'm trying to bring some people over onto this side that I feel like, because like I said, I've been following Frosty for 2 years, and I love the content.
Thank you.
Um, and I like what I see that you're doing over there, and I feel like the it's important to have someone who's staying kind of up on the laws and the things that are necessary in order to be a gun owner in a state that doesn't make it very easy for you to do so.
Definitely.
That's important.
Yes, it is. Oh gosh.
Yeah, because if you don't know how to get through those loopholes,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So I
And
think that's very important.
and again, even the people who make these laws don't know the law at the end of the day. So that's why it's so important for you to educate yourself. It's really
Hmm.
important. And everything that I'm saying today, there's a little disclaimer. It could be different tomorrow. So the laws, they change, they're adding so many new laws, and it makes no sense. It's like, I don't know how many firearms or gun laws there are on the books,
Hmm.
which is not necessary. It's not necessary at all because they're not adhering to it. You
Hmm.
already have laws there, just whether you want to enforce it properly or whatever you would need to do, but you don't need to make more. It's not going to
Yeah.
stop the killings. It's not going to stop the rapes. It's not going to stop those things at all. Laws are not going to
Mm-mm.
do that. It's like a
No.
restraining order. It doesn't do anything.
Mm-mm. No, because the people who are out there to break them, and they don't care about none of that.
Nope, not at all. Because we are restricted
They,
to 10 round magazines here in New York. But
mm,
but the criminal, you think they're gonna be like, oh no, let me take out 30
yeah,
and leave the 10.
because the law is I can only have 10.
Yeah, come on.
I have an illegal firearm, but I want to be lawful about how many rounds I have. No,
And that's
no.
another thing. They try to keep count on your actual cartridges as well. How many you can have.
Mm,
It's like, are we kidding me?
mm. Let's see. Siege has a comment. For 32,000 federal gun laws on the books as of last.
There you go.
Yeah,
And how many of them are working for you?
yeah,
Like what exactly they're doing.
yeah,
And I'm not
yeah.
saying laws are great. Laws are good when they make sense and they actually work. You know.
Hmm. Yes. Are there certain firearms that are restricted in New York?
Well, yeah, there are. I would say so. Having an AR, you can't have an AR in
Hmm.
in New York City, but in say Long Island or upstate, you can have an AR, but the AR, it has to be a certain model. You can't have a grip, actual pistol grip. It's this little
Hmm.
funny fin thing that they have, which is really uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So uh, again, the criminals are going to have the most modified, the
Yep.
best of the best. While we're
Yep.
working with 10 rounds, we're working with these little fish-looking, fin-looking. It's bad.
Hmm.
It's really bad.
Hmm.
It's really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for somebody, it makes sense. Now,
Yeah.
are you involved in any way on any like um going into those government meetings and things like that to where they're talking
The
about these.
lobbying and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So so you see this hat right here?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Empower 2A,
Mm-hmm.
which is the founder is Antonia Okafor, and then we have Women's for Gun Rights, I believe it, for Gun Rights, and that's Diana Muller. So
Mm-hmm.
I follow those groups, and when they have
Mm-hmm.
any events, I try to attend, and they're heavily involved in that. Heavily. One of the things I did want to go into was lobbying. It does take a little
Mm-hmm.
money and knowing who you know, whatever the case may be, because that's definitely a passion
Mm-hmm.
of mine. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I know that one of the things that I would like to champion is becoming the representative for New York for um, Empower 2A. So
Mm-hmm.
that opportunity comes around, definitely would like to step into that role. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. These laws, because at the end of the day, these politicians, these representative, they don't even know the parts to a firearm. They don't even know how it works. You know, so it's
Yeah.
like they're making laws for something that they know completely nothing about. I think they need to come to a training at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see that because it feels like that's probably the typical consensus with most lawmakers is that they're speaking on stuff that they aren't even involved in. They've never some of them. I mean, let's say if you want to go by stereotypes, maybe they've gone hunting. You know,
But
they've had a
Gina,
shotgun.
but Gina, they, I don't want to say majority. They believe in the Second Amendment for themselves. They have maybe a bodyguard,
Yeah,
but you as a citizen,
yeah,
right, aren't,
yeah,
you're not allowed to protect your life. Your
mhm,
life is worth
yeah.
nil.
It's exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Yes. Uh-oh. Hey, Tennessee Goddess. I see you. Oh, you're in here because I see somebody speaking. I had her on a few weeks ago. Um, rules for free, not for me. Oh, rules for thee and not for me. I
There you
see what
go. There you go.
and I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss any questions, but I don't think I did. Hey Carbon, I see you come in too, sis.
Shout out to Carving Q.
Yes, yes. She's one of those people who have been pushing me into
Very supportive woman,
not
and I
be
never
she
met
is
her.
so supportive and to
It's,
being less
it's a woman, yeah.
yes,
See,
Carbon
I
is
don't even know. I think I
definitely
saw
a
a picture,
woman.
but I wasn't sure. But either way, she supports me greatly. So, or I'm glad. Yeah,
She is a big supporter and she has helped push me out of my comfort zone
yeah,
of just sharing my experience and things like that when it comes to my experience getting into the space. And I do think it's important,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
for somebody who thinks that everybody you run into is not someone who's been in that space for years and years and years and knows
Absolutely.
all the things and has had all the experiences. I am still learning day by day.
True.
I am still gaining knowledge. I am still watching people to see, different things. I am out here trying to always be educated in what's going on. And I
Definitely.
think that, that's what everyone should do. Be there, be out, keep yourself informed, you know.
You mentioned competition shooting. I think that was one of your thing. I don't know if you wanted to get
It
to.
was. I was going to ask you if you've ever done any competition shooting.
I did. I did. I
Mhm.
did. Again, I like to shout out people. Shout out to Team Battle New York. That's
All right.
Christopher Spence. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I have. About 3 years ago, I started. I definitely
Mm-hmm.
slacked, but it's an amazing feeling, and I think that everyone should have the opportunity because it's not what people think. And I say that to say that it's you against you, Gina versus Gina. It's you against you. You're competing with really you and yourself, and I utilize that platform to train to practice. It's me
Mm-hmm.
against me, And everyone,
Mhm.
one thing about 2A, we know the world is, it is what it is, racist, all this. In that space,
Mhm.
we're all the same. In
Yeah.
that space,
Mhm.
we have a common ground, and everyone
Mhm.
wants to show you their firearm. They want to use their
Mhm.
ammo. It's a sharing, a loving atmosphere. So
Mhm.
I would encourage people, especially Black people, and I say
Mhm.
it to say that, I see Black men there, but it's not a lot
Mhm.
of Black women in that space as far
Mhm.
as getting familiar with the process. Even with
Mhm.
even with myself, with the youth, is a lot of, I get enough Black boys, but
Mhm.
not the Black girls. And I'm keep saying that
Mhm.
we outnumber
Mhm.
men and boys. So I don't understand why. Again, it's a parent thing. I know money is
Mhm.
an issue, and I
Yeah.
tell people that no one gets turned back. Not for money. Not when it comes to a kid. It's
Yeah.
about educating them. So
Yeah.
I always tell people that they can always. It doesn't matter if you don't have it. I'm here to educate. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. Yeah, but
Yeah.
competition shooting, you'll do well because it's you against you.
I'm hard competition. This stuff happening up here.
Oh, the only thing that you have to, I don't want to say worry about, and when it
Mhm.
comes to competition shooting, is like anything else, safety. You will be
Yeah.
disqualified.
Yes.
If you have those safety rules down, go
Mhm.
out there and do your thing. You don't.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah. I had someone try to get me to do one last year, and I was like, I ain't ready for that.
You ready? You're ready. You're ready. I tell you, you're ready. If
Yeah.
you know the safety rules, you are ready.
See, I told you I get in my own way. I'm getting there though. That was my talk on Sunday. I know some of y'all in the chat like, didn't you just say? I did. I'm letting go, y'all. I'm letting go.
Mhm.
I talked about
And
letting go, letting go of
and
those things.
And one more thing, Gina, just I know
Mm-hmm.
the time is going. Um,
Okay.
I encourage parents to get their kids involved because we have enough
Mm-hmm.
NFL players, we have enough basketball players, we have enough dancers, and what is that, MUA, makeup artists?
Oh yeah.
We have
Mm-hmm.
enough of that, you know? We do not have enough of, I want to say again, Black kids competing. You can get scholarship, you get sponsorships, you can get so many things going for these children, for these kids, and it just give them, it's just opening their horizon, you know? It
Mm-hmm.
and there's jobs in the field of law enforcement. You see that it
Mm-hmm.
becomes more comfortable because it's like, oh wow, there's again hunting, everything. It's not about just shooting. It's more than just shooting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a discipline, it's a skill. It's not easy and it's perishable. So that's why we have to train and practice.
Yep, I agree. The question on the screen is: do you think it's more important than ever before to know defensive tactics? I'm 70 years old and feel more vulnerable than before.
Oh yes. And I'm not gonna even just zero in on, say, our seniors or whatever. I think
Hmm.
overall, because people don't care nowadays. It used
They
to be,
don't.
and I'm not saying that the population, senior population, is not vulnerable. Everyone and anyone could get it. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, at the end of the day, yes, definitely for our seniors. Um, in fact, I give discounts for seniors to come in and train because it's really important. Because again, they definitely are a target population like
Hmm.
everyone else. But
Hmm.
yes, definitely now more than ever, we see what's happening out there. It's scary to turn the
Hmm.
television on and everything everybody's recording. So now it's even more scary, more trauma, more everything that we're getting. So too much. So
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even think it's now that everyone can get it. I think it's always been that way.
Mhm.
I just think we see it more now
Or
because everyone's recording everything.
absolutely.
Um, because people don't care.
They don't.
This was probably in my 20s, and my grandmother was taking her trash out, and two guys pushed her back into her house and raped her and beat her almost to death.
Mm.
Grandmother.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So people they
They
don't
don't.
care.
Yeah.
They don't care. So
And that's
I
the
say,
scary part.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah,
It used to be,
Yeah.
it used to be where if it's a gang situation, you might get a stray bullet. It ain't straight really, but you might get a stray bullet or something
Mhm,
like that. But
mhm,
now it's what is that word? Indiscriminate. It's like whoever
mhm,
random. It's like it don't even matter.
mhm. Yes.
You could just be minding your business. It's like, ooh,
Yeah. 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 You don't have to be involved in anything
mhm,
wrong. And that's just even with us. Like, we're training for a situation of having to protect ourselves or our families, but you could just be out carrying on with a regular everyday, thing that you need to take care of. Going to the post office or, going to the grocery
absolutely,
store, picking up a prescription or whatever, and something can happen.
yes. And with the firearms comes even greater awareness, situational awareness. And if you don't have a firearm, if you do have a firearm, it doesn't really matter. But situational awareness can save your life at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So being aware, just your head on a shrivel, know the exits, everything. You got to be aware.
Yeah.
No more sleeping with that cell phone in your face. Like, you got to be
Nope.
aware of what's happening. Yeah.
Nope. I agree with that. I used to think I was weird because I am always, and even when I can remember this being young, I've always been that person that's always paying attention to like those type of things. I don't go into places that have one in and one out. I don't like it. I need to know how I can escape. Because if the person is
Absolutely.
coming into the end, how am I gonna get out?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I don't like heavily populated situations. So I remember I went to Vegas once for a work conference. I hated it. I
Yeah.
it was too many people.
Okay. Yeah.
I couldn't see what
Mhm.
like it was too much going on.
Mhm.
I can't see what I don't know. My brain just I be needing to know that I can see what's happening. I'm not crowded in by people. I don't like it. I,
Mhm.
I um and I was like, if I never did it again, if I
Yeah.
now if I was in a convention, now I was out. It wasn't like inside of the hotel was bothering me. It's when you're walking the streets of Vegas and it's
Mhm.
just so many people. And I was just like, no, no. Especially in a city where there's a lot of things like there's a lot of drinking going on. There's a lot of gambling and drinking. So there's emotions and tied
Yeah.
up in that, losing your money and all those. I don't, no,
Yeah.
yeah. So I definitely agree with that. I'm always focusing on things like that. I notice when a parent isn't paying attention to their child and they're in a store. I'm going to overly pay attention to your child because now I'm
It takes
pissed.
a village.
I'm pissed off because I'm like,
Yeah.
put your phone down. Why are you doing this when you got this?
Yeah.
I mean, little ones.
Mhm.
It,
Yeah.
it my kids knew if you are not directly next to me or in front of me, you don't want to hear my mouth because
Yeah. Look.
I go off. I go off like because kids will do that. They'll start lingering behind you. No, because if you're behind me, how am I know if somebody take
Yeah.
you? I can't see behind me. So why aren't you next to me or in front of me? Matter of fact, just get in front of me because that's even better. But I've just always been that way. Even when I'm coming and going from my house, I park in my garage. When I pull out of my garage, I feel like there's a blind spot right on the side of the house. So I pull back like at a certain way so I can make sure I'm beyond that
Mhm.
blind spot as I'm letting my garage door down because I don't want anybody to just be able to come right around.
Understand.
My brain just works like that. I
Mhm.
always have been that way. So I definitely say be aware.
Mhm.
Pay attention. Notice when there's a car that doesn't normally be on your street. Even if it belongs there, just notice that it was there. How many times
Absolutely.
has somebody asked a question and you didn't see anything because you were not paying attention to the fact that it was this big yellow car
Mhm.
flashing on your street because you're
Absolutely.
focused on something else. So, yeah, I
That's
think
definitely good. That's good. One of the
that's
things I do, I take a 360 of my vehicle before I get in there. Um,
hmm
and that's important to me, not only for safety reasons, but if you have a flat tire, you don't want to be driving until you get on a highway. You're in a vulnerable position or down an alley or something. You understand? So it's like
Mhm.
prevention is an ounce of cure. That's what they said. A little
Yep.
prevention is an ounce of cure, something like that. But yeah,
Yep.
so definitely just gotta be
Yeah.
use wisdom and discretion.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be too focused on because people watch for that too. Just like
Yeah,
I'm watching to make sure that child is okay. Somebody else is
absolutely.
watching to see that you're not paying
Not much.
attention so that they can either do something to you or that child. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you said, I am a people watcher. I do
hmm
watch.
I
Look kind of
definitely do.
creepy, but I don't care.
Look, you just did a post about it at the airport. And I was like, that is so
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Like, look,
Yeah.
we can meet eyes
Yeah.
and we'll be like,
Yeah.
we on the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely,
you
definitely.
know.
In the airport they have when you go into the stall. I'm sure it's probably in the men's room about
Hmm.
something abduction, about child
Hmm.
abduction of people, and it's so sad that
Hmm.
it- oh God, have mercy.
Yeah, it is. Like where it that too much of that is happening,
Mm-hmm.
especially in certain states. I can't believe how many children have gone missing in Washington. Like, what are y'all doing? What's happening to our babies?
Yeah,
Like,
and and
I don't
how?
like it.
Oh, gosh, how?
I don't like it.
Hmm.
So yeah, and even to hear stories, I'm sure you heard about this story where the Walmart incident with the mom, where the 6 year old, I'm assuming just because of how what happened, maybe the 6 year old had been trained as well with the firearm, but the mom had a firearm in the car that she would tell her daughter, like, if anything ever was to happen, that it was there, and that, she would need, if something happened to her, she would need to protect herself, blah, blah, blah. There was an incident where she bought a TV and she didn't get the receipt. And when she was leaving, there's a person at the door and they're asking her for the receipt. And she's like, well, I didn't get the receipt, but I can, I just checked out over there. You can ask the cashier. They did. The cashier told him that, yes, she did pay for it. He still wouldn't let up. He was just being like really aggressive. They end up calling the police. She leaves the store because she's like, I'm not dealing with this. They call the police. The police show up. The police officer that shows up is very aggressive. And she, like, I think puts her in a chokehold and everything, like down to the ground. There's like all this stuff. The daughter is in the car screaming, leave, stop, my mommy, whatever. And I think it got to a point where she almost passed out or something. The mom did. And the daughter got the firearm and she ended up, unaliving that police officer. And to, to save her mom. But I'm like, you know, you never know these days who is out here training for those type of situations. And this was
Wow.
a Black family.
Whoa, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
And they did take them into the station, but they were not charged
They were not
because there
charged?
was no, because
Oh,
I think there was video of the whole incident.
okay.
So it was shown, it was seen what actually transpired, and she was
Was not
being
charged. Okay.
overly aggressive.
Mm. She would have been
And the,
charged in New
and the
York.
6 year old is gonna, she's freaking out. Her mom is being hurt.
Wow. That's still trauma for that little girl.
That's
Jesus.
that's the part I've talked about with people. I'm like,
Ooh.
taking a life is a heavy burden
Absolutely.
for a lot of people. I mean, there's some people out there that's a little off, but for most people, it's a heavy burden, and nobody thinks about
The
the
aftermath.
PTSD
Mhm.
that is suffered behind a situation like that. That child is that young now. That's
Mhm.
probably going to sit with her forever,
Forever.
even with therapy,
Mhm.
forever.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I think that some of with how some things are handled that we see in these videos that are put out and stuff, when it comes to our law enforcement, think about that, the impact you are making on someone else, that they're like, every time now that she probably encounters a police officer, there will be some panic involved in it. And
Yes.
that's for both her and her mom,
Yes, absolutely.
and nobody thinks about that because it's like, well, they didn't get, there was no charges and this. Yeah, that part is great. Don't get me wrong. That is great. But what they're going to deal with now going forward is a lot.
You
Is a
know,
lot.
just to add quickly to that, you've heard the saying, it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
subscribe to that personally. And I often tell anyone that I come in contact with when we talk about firearms, I said it's better to be a good witness, right? In general. And just because you have a firearm doesn't necessarily mean you need to use it. If you can
Mm-hmm.
escape, escape. If you can
Mm-hmm.
leave, leave,
Mm-hmm.
safely. And that's what it comes down to, because that trauma, that moment of taking a life, even if
Mm-hmm.
you're protecting your own, obviously,
Yes,
it sits in that, it's
it
etched
does.
into,
It
yeah, into your
does.
cells. Yeah.
It does. It does. And people will create their own narrative
Yeah.
for the person that they love.
Yeah. Oh
'Cause
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
speaking on
He was a good guy. She was a
people
good girl.
that I know.
What?
That is who dealt with a situation like that. I have a relative who was protecting himself. He worked um in a store where someone came in to rob by gunpoint, and he felt like he was that the person wasn't going to just take the money and leave, and so he decided that he'd rather try to
Stop the
wrestle
threat.
for that firearm, and he did, and he ended up getting it and unalived the person. And I'm like, I remember the craziest part. I met, so it was two of them. Only one of them was unalive. They were cousins. The other cousin was on trial for it, for his cousin's unaliving, and she didn't know that other person involved was my cousin. And she was sharing with me like, yeah, my brother is on trial because this is that. She's telling me this story, and I'm like, ma'am, my cousin is like 15 years older than those boys, because the narrative was they had fell out of the club like weeks prior to that, and that's why he unalived him.
Mm.
Now he is a father that's married with three kids. He was at his job doing his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm like, what you don't think, and that's when I knew, because I'm like, I saw what he was going through, even though he tried to save face and he would always be like, I'm okay, and yada yada yada. And he's one of my cousins that I'm really close to. We grew up close like siblings more than cousins. And I'm like, I've seen him throughout the years, because this happened, oh my gosh, probably 20 plus years ago. I have seen him throughout the years spiral still,
Mm.
because he's now drinking too much, and I notice it all the time. And I'm like, these are things that just built
Symptoms.
on from him not really dealing with the trauma
Unresolved trauma. Mhm.
of unaliving someone, because it's not easy for every person to sit with that, even though he was saving his own life.
Absolutely.
And people
Absolutely.
don't think about that part,
Yeah.
because we all think we can do it. We all think we'll be fine with it,
Yeah.
but we have never seen it. We never seen the effect of
Ooh, Jesus. Hmm.
doing that. That's
Hmm.
why I'm not an EMT or a
Yeah.
doctor or whatnot, because I can't stomach that. And then to see it because I've done it, I don't know how I would feel about that.
Absolutely.
I would be thankful to be here, but I also would realize that someone else isn't.
It's not here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the civil suits that's possibly lingering where I'm from, where in
Mm-hmm.
general, the family that want to sue because your person tried to rob me or try to hurt me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Because they see them in the great light, because that's
Yeah.
their person.
Yeah.
No matter what wrong they were doing, because they were a
Definitely.
scholar on their way to college, right?
Right.
To be a doctor.
Yeah.
I love those stories. Like that every person is like the next scholar. And it's like, but your scholar was not doing scholarly stuff.
Scholarly stuff. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I hope I see comments, but I don't know if I've missed any questions. So let me go back. I've been looking, y'all, I promise, but I'm looking, I'm glancing, and then I look away. Thank you, Carbon. Carbon's dropping your Instagram in the chat. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Carbon.
Yes, Carbon said trafficking is crazy out here. Yep. Yeah, I think that is happening with some of the children as well, Carbon. She was saying with women, which it is. Oh, she
Mhm.
said no, not just women. Anyone,
Mhm.
not just women. Correct. Because
Absolutely.
I think that's why all these children are coming up missing. And contrary to what most people think, the highest rate of trafficking of humans is here in this United States. The highest percentage of trafficking because we see it
Mhm.
in movies happening in
Mhm.
other countries. We just assume, oh, that's an isolated thing for those people. Like, why would they be doing that?
Mhm.
The highest percentage of that happening is on our land
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
our people that we think don't do this.
Mhm.
Just
Yes.
saying.
Yeah.
So, and look it up because it's true. So
Fact check.
fact check, listen, because these folks,
Yeah.
these Americans, some of them ain't right, y'all. A lot of them.
Yeah.
So that's why I am very frustrated when I see a child
Mhm.
lingering behind a parent
Yeah.
and things like that because I'm like, no, not
Yeah.
on my watch. Don't
Yeah.
leave your child in the car to run into somewhere. I've seen that too. With a running car, still, with all the things we see on
Mhm.
these internets and news and everything, people are still doing that. Leaving
Yeah.
the child in the car to run into a store to do something.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah.
that. There's no real quick enough. There's just not. Don't go into a gas station and think you're gonna run back. No, don't leave your babies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it.
I think I want to, I don't know if this is a PSA or remind parents, like, you're the parent. The child owns nothing. And when I say it to
Mm-hmm.
say passwords, rooms, locked
Mm-hmm.
doors, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
all, you should have all access. And
100.
18 does not make a child an adult in my
Mm-mm.
eyes.
Mm-mm.
Parents need to have more control. Gain back
Mm-hmm.
that control, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Who they're talking to. Like,
Definitely.
I'm one of those people, I'll jump out the bush at you. Like, what you doing? Like I'm checking, I need passwords. I need everything. How you have interest,
Listen,
uh, that's another segment because
child, my oldest is 28 and she was grown before she got on Facebook.
there you go.
I used to tell her because she used, of course, she wanted to because all her friends were. And
Mm.
I said, "Oh, well, if you're going to be on Facebook, then you don't need a cell phone because cell phones are to talk to your friends. But if you're going to talk to your friends on the computer, then go on and run me my cell phone."
There you go. Your cell phone. Exactly.
Because
Hmm.
she didn't have a job.
Hmm. Exactly.
She wanted that cell phone to be able to talk to her friends. I said, then you don't need to be on Facebook because why would you need to be doing both? If you
Hmm.
could talk to them, if you could call your friend, you don't need to be on. No, ma'am.
Gotta take
And
back the
now she
power.
don't even have an interest.
Yeah.
She don't even like social media like that. But of course, when that's the peer pressure of keeping up with what all
Yeah.
of your friends are doing. And I agree. Be on top of, like, I'm a very involved parent,
Mhm.
and I'm also that hard
I'm not
parent.
your friend. I'm not your
I'm
friend.
not.
I'm not your
We're
friend.
not
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah. I'm not your friend.
And
Yeah.
I know my daughter through her teen years. I know she probably has such choice words for me. But when she was in her second year in college, I remember her coming to me and saying, "Mom, I appreciate you being so hard on me because I'm seeing what my friends are
Hmm.
going through
Hmm.
now, and I'm so glad that it's not me."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're welcome,"
Yeah.
because I know I wasn't your friend when it was happening.
Hmm. And I want to say this, being that, licensed social worker,
Mm-hmm.
therapist. By
Mm-hmm.
no means am I advocating for abuse. By no
No,
means. But I don't
no.
know about that gentle parenting either. So
Mm-mm.
by no means. I'm just saying you the parent.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah,
And don't tell me what they won't do. That they won't go here. They won't go. They're 5. They're 6. They're 8,
yeah,
11, 12. Stop it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
18.
yeah.
Nah, we're not doing that.
No, no.
We're
She
not doing
28 still calling and asking me questions that
That's
she
right.
should know. Ma'am, you are not grown.
That's right.
So yeah, definitely have some controls there because you open up doors for a lot of stuff when you don't.
Yeah.
A lot. And you can't give it, give those liberties and then try to take them away later because then there's too much pushback.
Too
You gotta
confusion. Yeah.
you gotta start it
Consistency.
off.
Consistency. That's it.
It's just
Yes.
like potty training. If
Yes.
you try to potty train your child and you think, oh, this week I'm gonna do it,
And they
and then
put the camera
they
back
don't
on.
catch on in, and you tired of it, and you starting right on back over, and they're gonna fight you the whole way.
Yeah.
You just gotta stick with it. Taking everything with every part of them growing up is a fight.
Yes.
Taking the pacifier, taking the bottle, potty.
Yes. And contrary to popular belief, children love structure. They want to know where their
They
next meal's coming
do.
from, a warm bed, bedtime. They
They
love structure.
do.
It's the parent or it's the caregiver that's really inconsistent and
One
have the
hundred
problem.
percent.
Yeah.
100%. And I'm all about structure. I'm
Absolutely.
very routine in a
Yeah,
lot of
absolutely.
things. So I gotta have those things.
Absolutely.
Are children easier to teach? Oh, that's a good question. Are children easier to teach versus adults? Male, female. So
Um,
male children to female children to female
mhm.
adults, female adults.
Usually, I would say this, and this is what I've heard. Usually, they say females are easier to train because they don't have to unlearn bad behaviors, whereas the male or men or kids that play Grand Theft Auto or what's that, Fortnite, they think they kind of
Mhm,
know it all in a sense. So then now they have to unlearn stuff to say that it's not a bullet, it's a cartridge. It's not a
mhm,
clip, it's not a clip, it's a magazine. So
mhm,
females tend to come with a clean slate. So
mhm,
it can be and yeah, there's no, I love the guys, but there's no that machoism, that word that you use, it's none of that. But for the most part, the clients that I've had, I've always thanked, especially when they're male, to come to a female, and I was
mhm,
definitely thank them for that. So I would say females are probably a much easier for that because of that reason. But
mhm,
from my own general experience, maybe 1 or 2 men may have been a little cocky until you realize
mhm,
that you're missing up close at 5 yards, and
mhm,
they kind of calm down with it. Yeah.
mhm.
But for the most part, all of my clientele has been pretty good, even kind of. But females, and they said females are better shot as well.
I've
That's what
heard
people
that.
say.
I've heard that. And
Yeah.
I've actually, even when I was doing my training, I got that same kind of, even from the person who I was getting instruction from, that same kind of comment. Like, you're just women just tend to take on to it a little easier, take on to the training a little easier. It's like, you are a good shot, like right out
Hmm.
the door. And I'm
They're
like,
not trying to impress. Men are trying to impress.
no, we're just trying. I think we're just trying to learn. You're
Yes.
right.
Hmm.
Because that was me. I just wanted to learn. So even when it comes to females, do you find it easier with children over adults, or is it about the same?
It's about the same. Children are very impressionable. They listen. Yeah, it's about the same. It's about the same
Mm-hmm.
for me personally. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for me, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Shut up, fam. Talking about what you're supposed to hit the target from 5 yards. Hopefully.
People don't realize that they can mess up close. And everybody want to do headshots. It's like you could barely hit 3 yards.
Yeah. Yep. Y'all got to get those egos out the way, guys. That's it. And I talked about that a little bit in a video I did recently about how I the steps I took to get comfortable carrying,
Hmm.
because I think that men naturally kind of jump into it immediately. opposed to women sometimes because their ego won't let them not do it because that's what guys do. We're tough. We're supposed to just, do. And instead of, having that transparency of being a little uncomfortable with it and being open about discussing that, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And with me, I'm like, listen, I'm talking to, I'm going to be discussing the fact that I wasn't quite comfortable at, in the beginning. I just wasn't. So it took me time to get there. But I think um, a lot of women probably feel like they should just, because especially if you're taking instruction from somebody like a boyfriend or husband or something, I think even them, they might push you into feeling like, oh, you could do this, and just
That's why I
push
never
you.
recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Instead of you being comfortable and you getting into your comfort zone.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
you know, I think that sometimes happens because you can end up being like Erica, my fly family, and just leaving it everywhere.
Mm.
I know you remember her telling that story when we were live, her leaving in a shopping cart and having to circle back to the store.
But she doesn't do
She's
that anymore. She's a responsible firearms
uh-huh.
owner now.
She absolutely is. But yeah, I'm sure she's much better about it than she was. Hey, everybody, I see y'all coming in. I'm just looking to see if there was any more questions in the chat for Frosty. I know some of y'all came in a little late, and we've talked about a lot of things. Those are conversations between other people. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything that somebody might have wanted to ask. Um, Hata, what story did they come out and say wasn't true? I don't know what story you're talking about. Um, the Walmart incident wasn't true. Really? They're saying that story wasn't true. I didn't hear that. Um, that's going back into the messages. I missed it when y'all said it the first time. Gina, drive around the block before you pull into. No, I don't have to pull. I don't have to drive around the block. Because I watch for even cars that are following me for too long. I am the weirdo, y'all. I'm not being funny. I really am. Like if I feel like I'm like, are we going to the same place or are you just following me? Why are we going in the same direction for so long? I pay attention to that. And then if it's too long, I already know what your license plate number is. I've already written that down on a little piece of paper in my car. I keep a pen in my car, y'all. Look, I am that person. Y'all gonna find me. I am going to be found. Ain't nobody just gonna snatch me and y'all not gonna know. Y'all gonna know something. Y'all gonna have clues.
Plug it
I'm gonna
out.
be leaving stuff.
Thank you.
It's just who I am. Um, See if your car has a tag on it. Is that something they're doing, Carbon,
Plug it out.
that you need to watch for? Um, I don't think I missed any questions, y'all. So if y'all don't have any more questions for Frosty, hey Maurice Evans, um, we are going to wrap it up. Yep, they're saying that. Do you think? Oh, there's a question. Up. Let's see. Do you think rubber bullets can be effective for defense?
You know something? To answer that question truthfully, anything is better than nothing. Because I often tell people to also bring a flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A flashlight
Mm-hmm.
can reflect it in someone's eye. You give you enough time to dash out of there. So anything could be a deterrent if you don't have, say, a firearm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would not say not have a rubber bullets, but obviously you know the legalities to that. But anything is better than nothing. But why rubber bullets opposed to actual live ammunition?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're trying to stop the threat because they're trying to
Yeah.
stop us, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the purpose of rubber bullets?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that too because even actual bullets sometimes don't stop a
Stop the
person
threat.
immediately. So I don't want to be in a situation where yeah,
Overkill. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And people have to remember that people are now on some they're on some synthetic drugs. They're on so many different things, which means that one shot is not doing anything for them, right? And I'm not
Mhm.
saying overkill, but sometimes
Mhm.
it takes more than one shot. So that
That's
rubber
what I'm
bullet,
saying.
they may not feel it if they're on meth or LSD and all this
That's,
stuff, whatever all
yes.
that other drugs. So just
Yes.
understand that.
Yes. Yes. That's true. Yes, and I figured that's what you were going with. Is a less lethal option, but the person who's coming for you is not considering that.
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
So I don't think it's so much, in my opinion, this is my opinion,
mhm.
um, to uh, think on it at the effect of it being less lethal. Is more about you just being able to walk away from the
Stopping the
situation.
threat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
we say stop the threat. And I often tell people don't mistake it. Stopping don't necessarily mean killing. You just
Mm-hmm.
mean stopping from harming you any further or harming you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Lala was saying rubber bullets will likely enrage your attacker, possibly, and sometimes the attacker in most incidents is someone you already know.
Mhm.
In a lot of situations, and it's not always just a relationship thing. Sometimes it's a family member. It's somebody who might be on something themselves, and it's just so many. It's
Variables.
not always a stranger.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But I do think that um, just making yourself knowledgeable about them, um, hopefully getting out there and trying to take on some type of training,
Mhm.
just to be able to protect yourself. Because even with Frosty was saying, like, sometimes people are like, oh, well, my husband has one or my boyfriend does or whatever. Well, what if someone takes him out? Now you're the next line of defense. Let's say
Response.
you have
Mhm.
children. So now they took him out. How are you going to protect everything else? Even yourself, but also your children. So, have his back.
Absolutely.
Have his back. Because maybe you having his back can keep them from taking him out.
Absolutely.
You
It's
know?
family fair.
Just a thought. Just a thought. Okay. I was just making sure there was no other questions in the chat. But I truly, truly appreciate you coming and hanging out and answering questions and giving some information on how things work in New York, because I think that's important. I did have a couple people who inquired about that, because that's where they are, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't have the answers for that because in Ohio it's just too easy. It's just too easy.
Be careful what you're
So
saying out there.
I know,
Woof.
I know. Well, so far it has
They
been.
flipping they flipping states all over, so you know how
Yeah,
to
I think they'll have a hard time with this one.
probably. But oof.
These good old boys ain't having it. They not having it. So you know, yeah. But I truly do. I appreciate it. I think everybody, if you missed some of it, just go back and watch the replay. I think in the end, you'll be well informed on Frosty and what she does. And also, I was going to ask you, if someone was looking to train with you, how would they go about that?
They can
Or are you
visit the web.
taking on clients?
Oh yes, yes.
Okay.
They can visit the website, which is www fosterstayfrosty.com. Or one
All right.
instant, just inbox me either way. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. And if it's something that I can do, I always make referrals because I'm here about
That's
safety.
going to
I'm
be my
not
next
really.
question.
I'm all about passing it on, passing the buck,
Hmm.
collaborating. Giving someone else the
Hmm.
opportunity. So if I don't
Mhm.
know, somebody else will, and I'll definitely direct you in that direction.
That is awesome. Do you have instructors that you are able to refer from in other states? Do you know
Yes,
you have
yes,
connections with?
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes,
awesome.
yes, yes. I am also connected with NAGA, National African American Gun
Mhm,
Association. They have a
mhm,
website where people can
mhm.
go and find different instructions in different states. Definitely.
Nice, nice, awesome. So y'all, the website has been dropped. I'm sure the IG has been dropped. So if you follow her on IG and you want to just DM, keep don't go over there with no foolishness. Go over there for business, people. But hit her up, and see if she's available, and if not, she'll refer you to somebody who might be. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Frosty. I
Thank you,
appreciate you,
Dana.
sis.
Thank you for remembering me. Thank you for always
Oh,
supporting.
absolutely,
Thank you. Thank you. I
absolutely,
really appreciate you so
absolutely.
much.
And let me tell you something about me. I notice when people ain't around. That's why I messaged you when I did.
You
I
are.
notice when I don't see
Thank
people
you.
that I I I enjoy like I enjoy what I'm seeing. I
Yes.
enjoy what they're doing. I like the personality of what I'm seeing from
Yes.
these interwebs.
Yes.
And I do it on this platform too. When I don't
Mhm.
see somebody,
You
I'm
check
either
in.
going to, oh, I'm going to check.
Yes.
I'm going to check. I'm
Mhm.
not an annoying person with that,
Mhm.
but I am. I want to make
Pleasure.
sure people are good. I
Yes.
don't. I don't
Absolutely.
like to just blink on that. So,
Yes. Thank you for that.
and I understand when you got to take a break. That's cool. I
Definitely.
don't know people's
Yes.
business. I just want to make sure
Definitely.
you're good.
Definitely. Definitely. And just a quick PSA,
Mhm.
firearms instructor and all those that are out there that's always at the range, especially indoor range, check your lead level. It's extremely important.
Mm.
Extremely important. And that's one of
Mhm.
the reasons why I took off, because it was extremely
Mhm.
high. So
Yes.
it's very important to check that, get that checked.
Yes. Yes. That's a real good point because I remember you talking about that when we were on My Five Family,
Mhm.
and you were saying that's why you wear gloves a lot of times when you are at the
Pick up the casings, everything. Yeah.
range. Mhm. I remember that conversation. All right.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. I want you to stick around. I want to talk to you after the
Sure.
live goes
Sure,
down.
sure, sure, sure. Absolutely.
But everybody, I hope y'all have a great night. I hope y'all find. I can see you already telling me that it was a great live, so I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, and enjoyed the conversation. Hey, Veggie, I see you, sis. Um, and we'll, I'll see y'all in these streets. Y'all go follow. I'm serious. Go
And
follow.
let them know there's room for all of us.
Listen, I tell them that all the time, even on the gardening side. Like, there's room for all of us on this platform. We don't
Yeah.
have to gatekeep.
Yeah.
There is room for all of us.
Yes.
So share people out. Um, and then go by and just see what I like her, but that don't mean you gonna
You
like
both.
her. I
Yes.
do. So I don't think you won't. So go check her out. I'm telling you. Just go check her out and see what she's doing. She shows little clips and videos of some of the training, um, things like that. And like she goes to these events that I don't go to.
Soon. You did. You did. You will.
Soon, soon. But there's some great events out there that I've learned about through you. I didn't know about that event. Had
Mm-hmm.
you not posted it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that
Mm-hmm.
I would have saw it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now I have. That was the Empowered Women, right?
Empower 2A. Yes.
Empowered 2A.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They had a women's um, event, though.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And there's another one I'm gonna put you on to Ambassador Academy. That's another amazing 3 days training event. Diane
Ni-
Muller. Mhm.
Nice. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
See? Um, Siege was like, yeah, she has fantastic content. I know Siege be following. Listen, Siege has her nose to the, yeah. All right, y'all. Everybody have a great night, and I'll see y'all on these streets. Y'all know how I do.
Stay
Good night,
frosty.
y'all.